UK.
Well, US President Donald Trump has claimed that many long sought after targets in Iran has been taken out by the US military. In his latest Truth Social post on the West Asia war, Trump said it is a big day for Iran while touting US military successes. This after the US Central Command announced that 2,500 Marines and another 2,500 sailors have arrived in West Asia. Their arrival is keeping the number of American troops in West Asia at over 50,000, roughly 10,000 more than usual. And this as the Trump administration mulls the next step in the month-old war in Iran. Top Iranian officials have accused the US of plotting a ground invasion despite publicly pushing for a negotiated deal. Israel and Iran are still exchanging fires. Footage captured in Tehran showed air defense system intercepting objects in the night. Iran's energy ministry said energy infrastructure has been damaged in the strikes, but Iranian state media reported that power has been restored to most parts of Tehran and the nearby areas. Israeli military claimed to have bombarded Iran with an intense wave of airstrikes on Sunday, hitting Tehran with over 120 munitions in 24 hours. A university in Iran's central city Isfahan said that it was hit by airstrikes for the second time since the war erupted. This despite the clock ticking on Iran's Revolutionary Guard's earlier deadline for the U.S. to formally condemn attacks on its universities in Tehran, warning that American university campuses in West Asia could face retaliation if no statement is issued by Monday noon. Iran's Foreign Minister, Abbas Araghchi, he has accused U.S. as well as Israel of attempting to suppress knowledge through violence and intimidation. In a sharply worded statement on X, Araghchi called the countries partners in crime and asserted that such actions reflect desperation rather than strength. Also, nuclear watchdog IAEA has confirmed that Iran's Kunduz heavy water plant has sustained severe damage and is no longer operational following Israeli strikes. As strikes continue, Iran's Joint Military Command spokesperson declared on Sunday that the private residences of U.S. and Israeli officials have now become legitimate targets for Iran.
In light of the malicious actions and terrorist measures of the American Zionist enemies and their targeting of residential homes of the Iranian people in various cities, the armed forces of the Islamic Republic of Iran will, in a retaliatory action, target the residences of American and Zionist regime commanders and political officials in the region and in the occupied territories.
Projectiles were seen above Jerusalem and the West Bank on Sunday as another missile barrage was fired from Iran. Earlier, a missile fragment that fell on a factory outside of the southern Israeli city of Beersheba, it set a pesticide tank on fire. According to Israel's fire and rescue, sending black plumes of smoke and billowing flames high into the air. Iran also continues to strike the Gulf states. An Iranian strike on a power station in Kuwait killed one Indian worker and damaged a building at the site. This, according to the Gulf states' electricity ministry, and Saudi Arabia's defense ministry has also said its forces detected and intercepted 5 ballistic missiles aimed at the kingdom's eastern province.
U.S. President Donald Trump is now talking about taking over Karg Island, which is Iran's major fuel hub.
If you would have said that in 3 days we were going to knock out 158 ships, their entire Navy, which we did, we knocked out their entire Air Force. We knocked out most of their missiles. That's why you see missile attacks, but they're sputtering.
President Trump told reporters the war with Iran is ahead of schedule. He then told the Financial Times he could take the oil in Iran and possibly seize its major fuel hub. Donald Trump says the move could mean taking over Karg Island, which is the main terminal for more than 90% of Iran's crude oil exports. U.S. President Donald Trump also told reporters that Iran has agreed to most of that 15-point plan, which is the list of demands from the U.S. to end the war. He added that Iran has given the U.S. several big boats of oil that will go through the Strait of Hormuz starting today.
They're lying to you. It's not just 3,000 or 5,000 troops that are being deployed. It is tens of thousands of troops that are being deployed. I just got off the phone with one of the Airbnb hosts that I work with. Airbnb is one of my main sources of income. And this host is going to be gone for over 6 months. I can't disclose where he's going to be gone at, but he's going to be gone for over 6 months. And he's leaving his house in my name. Like, he's actually really nervous to go down there, and he's leaving his house in my name. I mean, besides the fact that this is like shocking, it's really quite sad, to be honest with you. And he was saying that it's not just the 3,000 or 5,000 troops that are currently leaving, that it is tens of thousands of troops that are getting their orders to leave. So if you think that there's not going to be a draft, think again.
President Trump has not ruled out boots on the ground in Iran. Are you afraid of a U.S. invasion in your country?
No, we are waiting for them.
You are waiting for the U.S. military to invade the ground troops?
Yes, because we are confident that we can confront them, and that would be a big disaster for them.
So you're saying that Iran is ready and willing to take on the U.S. military if there were to be ground troops?
Well, we were ready for this war even more than the previous war. So you can see, the quality of our missiles, how much they are upgraded after the last war, because we learned lots of lessons. And we are prepared for any other eventuality, even, a ground invasion. So our soldiers are prepared for any scenario. When I said that we are waiting for them, it didn't mean that we are waiting for continuation of the war. No, but we have prepared ourselves to confront with any scenario, with any eventuality, any possibility, and we know that we can handle that.
رئیس جمهور آمریکا که معروف به دروغگوترین رئیس جمهور کشورهای جهان شده است و هیچ ثبات فکری و گفتمانی ندارد، به هیچ عنوان قابل اعتماد نیست و متاسفانه سران آمریکا به کسی اختیارات فرماندهی نیروهای مسلح را واگذار نمودند که به دلیل بی‌تعادلی، موضع‌گیری‌ها و تصمیمات خطرناک و غلط ارتش آمریکا را وارد باتلاق مرگ نموده است. ترامپ موضوعی را یک روز صبح به طبل تهدید می‌کوبد و عصر همان روز عقب نشینی می‌کند. زمانی از مذاکره دم می‌زند و ساعاتی پس از آن تصمیم به اداره جنگ می‌گیرد. این فرد بی‌تعادل و کذاب خسارت‌های فراوانی را به مردم آمریکا، اروپا و کشورهای جهان به ویژه کشورهای منطقه غرب آسیا وارد نموده است. رئیس جمهور آمریکا ثابت کرده تنها زبانی که میشناسد زبان زور است. در مقابل تهدیدهای اخیر ترامپ مبنی بر عملیات زمینی یا اشغال هر نقطه‌ای از سرزمین‌های ایران که البته آرزویی بیش نیست، اعلام می‌داریم رزمندگان اسلام مدت هاست در انتظار چنین اقداماتی به سر میبرند تا ثابت نمایند که تجاوز و اشغال نتیجه‌ای جز اسارت تحقیرآمیز و قطعه شدن و مفقود شدن متجاوزان را در بر نخواهد داشت و فرماندهان و سربازان آمریکایی خوراک خوبی برای کوسه های خلیج فارس خواهند شد.
Iranian state media is now claiming that combat units from Russia's Chechen Republic have declared themselves ready to deploy to Iran if the United States launches a ground invasion. According to Press TV, these forces are loyal to Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov and have told Tehran they will fight alongside the Iranian armed forces if US troops move beyond air and missile strikes onto Iranian soil. The reports describe the ongoing US-Israeli war against Iran as a religious war and say the Chechen side is framing any direct intervention as a jihad, a battle of good versus evil in defense of the Islamic Republic. These claims surface just as US officials openly discuss limited ground raids inside Iran, including possible assaults on Karg Island and coastal sites near the Strait of Hormuz. Iran's top military command has responded with its own rhetoric, vowing to cut off the legs of any aggressor who tries to set foot on Iranian territory and insisting the country is waiting for a ground invasion to prove it can destroy invading forces. Iranian outlets say more than 1 million fighters, a mix of regular troops, Revolutionary Guard units and Basi volunteers, have been mobilized nationwide, while new reinforcements and air defense systems are being dug in along key fronts. Against that backdrop, talk of Chechen reinforcements is meant to signal that any US move on the ground might not just pit Washington against Tehran, but risk pulling in Russian-aligned fighters as well. Chechen commander Abdi Alaudinov, whose Akhmat units have been fighting in Ukraine, has already said publicly that his men are waiting for an order from Vladimir Putin to confront US forces if war spills into Iran. Iranian and sympathetic media are now amplifying those statements to suggest that the same Chechen formations used as shock troops in Ukraine could appear on a new front in the Gulf, blurring the line between the Ukraine war and the Iran conflict. For now, there is no independent confirmation that any Chechen units are actually moving toward Iran. But the messaging alone feeds a narrative in Tehran that if the US crosses the threshold into a ground invasion, it could find itself facing not just Iran's own forces, but foreign fighters who see the fight as part of a wider jihad against American power.
A newly released clip circulating from Iranian state media is adding another dramatic layer to the widening regional crisis, this time with attention focused on digital infrastructure rather than a traditional military installation. The footage distributed by Iran's state broadcaster on April 2 appears to show a rocket launch that Iranian media says was directed toward an Amazon cloud computing facility in Bahrain. While the short video itself is only about half a minute long and offers limited visual context, the claim is significant because it points to a growing pattern in which commercial data centers are being drawn into the conflict. Reuters reported on April 2 that Iran's Revolutionary Guard said they had targeted an Amazon cloud computing center in Bahrain, while separate Reuters reporting a day earlier said Amazon's cloud business in Bahrain had already sustained damage after an Iranian strike, according to the Financial Times. This matters because Amazon Web Services is not just another corporate brand in the Gulf. Oars operates a recognized Middle East cloud region in Bahrain, listed publicly by Amazon as the Middle East region known as Me South 1. That region has become an important part of Bahrain's digital economy and a wider backbone for businesses, financial services and enterprise cloud operations across the Gulf. Oars documentation confirms Bahrain as an active regional cloud hub, and public infrastructure listings show Bahrain as one of Amazon's established Middle East regions. The timing also adds weight to the development. This is not an isolated allegation appearing out of nowhere. In recent weeks, multiple reports have described earlier damage and service disruption affecting Amazon cloud infrastructure in both Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates. Reuters reported in early March that Amazon said some of its data centers in the UAE and Bahrain were damaged during regional strikes. Since then, analysts and technology publications have described the targeting of data centers as a new and worrying expansion of the confrontation into civilian-facing digital infrastructure. The clip released on April 2 is brief, and like many conflict-era videos, it should be approached carefully. The shot list indicates that the footage was provided by Iran's state broadcaster, with the shooting date listed as unknown and the location left undefined. That means there are real limits to what can be independently confirmed from the visuals alone.